Welcome to Helping You Thrive with Banterra Bank, a podcast that offers inspiration and information to help individuals, businesses, and communities to thrive. I'm Jennifer Spence, Director of Marketing for Banterra Bank, and I'm one of your co-hosts.
And I'm Ben Kraft, Commercial Officer at Banterra Bank and also a co-host. We've taken our podcast on the road, and we are recording this from our Banterra location in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. This episode is going to focus on Special Olympics, a nationwide organization, but in particular, the Southeast Missouri team that is based right here in Cape Girardeau.
That's right. And Special Olympics, you guys are right across the street, really, from us.
We are. We're your neighbor.
And we go back a long way. We were talking about that earlier. I think I started in Banterra in 2012. We opened up this branch in 2013, and you were part of our grand opening.
And what a great day it was, I'll tell you. It really established our partnership. And I was so glad whenever you reached out to us. And and anytime you bring a Special Olympic athlete into your environment, it changes everything. You know, it makes everything great. And we had a great plan. We did our scoring big with Banterra, and what a day it was.
That was funny. It was in March timing, so it was all March Madness theme, and we had a score big with Banterra, and we had these. You brought the basketball goals over, and we gave a donation if any of our guests would shoot it and make it. But then if your athletes made it, we doubled it. And I was just talking about if it wasn't for your athletes, you wouldn't have probably gotten hardly any donation because most of our guests, including myself, could not hit the broadside of a barn that day. But we did our best, didn't we?
Oh, we sure did. And you know what? Everybody was cheering for you, though, Jen. You know, our athletes.
I remember you guys making me do it. And I actually played basketball in high school, but clearly there's been some years in between that.
A little rusty.
Oh, yeah. That's putting it nicely.
So Penny Williams, welcome. You are the Director of Development with Special Olympics Missouri, correct? So before we get more into learning about Special Olympics and the organization, I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your role and how your path led you to this position.
Sure. So it started in college. I went to Southeast Missouri State University.
Another SEMO grad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Special Olympics was a big part of what they were doing at that time. I was a Parks and Recreation major, and we helped plan and organize the track meet there. And the track meet, as you know, is a big sport for Special Olympics. And you know, once you're a part of something like that, you just don't turn back hardly. You know, it's just so awesome, and you leave there feeling so much better. So bottom line, got hooked right then and there as college students. Volunteered for 4 years in college, and then with a Parks and Recreation background. My husband Scott was also in the same field, and we came to work for the city of Cape Girardeau and saw all the opportunities that we were given to everybody in the community, and we said, you know what? Everybody deserves an opportunity. We're not providing opportunities for everyone here. And so that's when we did a presentation to the state of Missouri Special Olympics, and the city of Cape Girardeau said we'd try it for 1 year and see how it went. And, you know, it's been a part of our program, and I'm proud to say that the city of Cape has embraced that. Mm-hmm. And Parks and Recreation and Special Olympics has been a partnership. And then Banterra Bank sees us across the street. They value what we do. We come into their life as well. And so it just moves forward like that. And what a great story it is. And then everybody's competing, everybody's participating, and everybody should be doing that, right? You feel good when you do that. So
I think there's at least two great stories there. One, you and Scott, your husband of 33 years, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
You better be right, because you'd be in trouble if it's off. You know, it's on.
Well,
on air,
we've done the work part of it for 33 years. Yeah. We've only been married for like 26.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you've done that together at Parks and Rec. And then you also do it with Special Olympics. Right. And I think you also mentioned there's a lot of city park and recs that don't incorporate the Special Olympics. And it's great that you guys have made that partnership, right?
Absolutely. Yep. It's so good that, like I said, it's important. Everybody wants to know what it feels like to, you know, nobody wants to stay at home all the time and not get out and socialize and be a part of your, you know, and friends, wear a uniform, you know, get a medal and talk about how great life is, you know. And sometimes our athletes especially don't always get those opportunities. But the city of Cape, Parks and Rec embraced that, people embraced that, and now that program has grown huge. And now the great thing is, and we're going to get into all this about unified partnerships and what all that means, but now we have our Special Olympics athletes that are partnering with our other athletes coming together, playing in our leagues, truly a part of it. And that's what makes this community better, because everybody's a part of it. You know, not anybody's excluded from doing it.
So can you tell us about just the mission of Special Olympics?
Absolutely. The Special Olympics mission is simply, sports and athletic training all year long, not one season, it's all year. And not only that, it incorporates, health and wellness for our athletes, athlete leadership, simply coming out and being a part of a team, enjoying that socialization, being a part of something, more than just yourself. And that makes Special Olympics better. It makes the community better. It makes Banterra Bank better. It makes and I'm saying Banterra Bank because you guys are such a big part of what we do. But anybody that becomes involved with it, it's just win-win really for everybody.
There's really something to be said about working together as a team toward a common goal. So much can be gained from that.
Then that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the athletes are made up of kids and adults with intellectual disabilities. And I know that this is so rewarding with the recognition and all that. You want to talk about what is intellectual disabilities,
right,
and how does all that work? How do they become athletes? And
sure, yeah, absolutely. So, it's just, not everybody's at the same level
Right.
in anything. So, some of our Special Olympics athletes, they do have some developmental disabilities. They do have some cognitive limitations, but then something else they may really excel in. So, everybody is different. And I think that that's what's important. This mission behind Special Olympics says that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay that you're different. That's okay that, that you're great at this, but you're not so good at this, but we're going to capitalize on what's good and make it even better. Right. And so that's the great thing. So it started out basically sports and athletic competition, but it's moved into health and wellness. It's moved into, an athlete leadership program where they can come in and they can actually attend classes through Special Olympics. And it's really a lifestyle change for them, So, and that's what the mission of Special Olympics is just to find those people and get them involved in what we're doing. And then it starts out as maybe, baseball competition or a swimming competition or whatever, and then it leads into so much more. And I'll tell you some stories about some of our athletes that have gotten to really excel because of Special Olympics. Yeah.
A lot of folks might not realize how big of an organization or how long Special Olympics is or how long it's been around. Just in my notes here, it's the world's largest sports organization with nearly 5 million athletes, more than 170 countries, 12 Olympic-style sports. It was founded in 1968, incorporated in Missouri in 1971.
Right.
Just some fun facts there about Special Olympics.
Yes.
So with that, though, how would an individual go about becoming a Special Olympics athlete? How's that process work?
Sure. Special Olympics has done a lot to make it simpler to become involved. You go to a website, www.specialolympicssomo.org, SpecialOlympicsMissouri.org. Register through there. There's a blue tab on there that says compete. And then there lists about 3 steps on what you have to do to compete. You fill out a physical form, your medical information and things like that, and then how we can contact you. And then we connect you with a coach that's close to where your address is and get you involved in the program that way. So,
ballpark, I know there's 5 million athletes across the rock. Not just our country, 170 countries. How many? What's the pool of number approximate of athletes in Southeast Missouri?
Southeast area. We serve about 1,500 athletes regularly in our area. 3% of the population has a disability, and we're not there yet. We're still trying to, reach out to them and find ways. I say the website, but they can call our office. There's all kinds of ways to contact Special Olympics. That seems to be the easiest way, though, is just to go through the website. But certainly call our office, contact the Parks and Recreation Department, contact the City of Cape Girardeau. Any of those avenues can get you in touch with us. So
it seems like you have some stories that you'd like to share. What are some of your favorite stories from Special Olympics athletes or events that you've had?
Yeah, you talk about Special Olympics being worldwide, and really, in Southeast area, it's just a small part of this big, vast world. How is that impacting? Well, we too have had athletes that have gotten to participate in World Games. An example of that is Lucas Balato. He got to, travel to Greece, and he played tennis. And so he went through all the chains. You have to compete locally, and then you go to a state competition. You have to be a gold medalist at a state competition. You have to go through an actual training where Special Olympics, keeps you away from, your home for a period of time. So you got to be able to leave your house. You got to be able
commitment.
You have to be able to make cash transactions, and all along Special Olympics is preparing you for opportunities like that.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah. So Luke got to go to Greece. I said, Luke, you're going someplace that I'll probably never visit in my whole life. I said, he came back and was telling stories about that. And I said, it was great. I said, you go over there, you played tennis? And he goes, yes, I did. And I said, well, tell me. I said, I bet that was a wonderful opportunity. I said, you played people? And he goes, yes, from China, from Shanghai, from all these places. He goes, I got to compete in tennis. And I said, really? I said, that's fantastic. And I said, what else did you get to do? And he goes, well, I'll tell you the best part. And I said, what was the best part? And he said, well, we got to go to a beach while we were in Greece. And I said, a beach? I said, you never been to a beach here in the United States? And he goes, yeah, I went to a beach. And he goes, but
I know where this is going, I think.
yes, but he goes, some of the ladies there, they don't wear shirts in Greece. And I go, oh, I bet you didn't stay there long. And he goes, oh, no. He goes, our coach was mad, didn't know all about that. And he goes, we got out of there really quick. So, but it's amazing because, he played tennis and it was so important, but he got to experience life and experience
Trip of
the
a
world.
lifetime.
Yeah. And, they just, a lot of times our athletes don't get those kinds of opportunities. I'm proud of Special Olympics because, they do provide that. We have a team, a national games team right now that's practicing at the Osage Center for volleyball. And they're going to travel to Minneapolis, Minnesota here in June and compete against people all across the nation in the sport of volleyball. So we're doing lots of fundraisers for that right now as well. But just that group of, 12 individuals get to travel together as a team, wear Team USA uniform from Cape Girardeau. They're from this area, and they'll travel with a bag on their shoulder that says USA.
Representing our country abroad. Yeah.
Missouri Magic is the name of their team, and they'll get to go and they'll represent us. So it's great.
That does so much, not just for their perspective and culture, but just their pride and self-worth. And you guys do other things too, like the Hall of Fame and the awards banquet.
Absolutely.
Not just a medal at the end of a race. I mean, do you want to talk about those things at all?
Oh, yeah, sure. So Hall of Fame is our highest level, of recognition within the organization. You're involved in the program for many years. You have to have received a gold medal, have coached so many years, have gone up through the rankings, and then you're recognized at a banquet. And this banquet is also, recognized with the state of Missouri as well in their Hall of Fame, Missouri Sports Hall of Fame too. So then our individuals that are inducted also get inducted into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame too.
I thought it was really interesting that it was the first Special Olympics program that has been recognized at the state's Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So I think that says a lot for you guys and what you do, and for Special Olympic Missouri as a whole, and for Missouri for doing that.
Absolutely. And I think Missouri is very fortunate. They are so progressive as far as Special Olympics is concerned. We have only one of two in the nation training for life centers. There's one in Colorado, and then we have one in Jeff City. So our athletes here, we get to send them up for a week of training. Whatever training they need, and then they bring in doctors on site.
Wow.
And so, another neat story is I'm going to tell you about Daniel Fultz. I mean, he played softball and all his life, and he was a great athlete. There's something everybody knew. There's something Daniel could do so much better. He had so much physical ability. Come to find out, he was always just a little bit off. He'd reach for the ball and it would just be a little bit off. Come to find out, Daniel needed glasses. Wow. We didn't know that. Sent Daniel, Jeff City, Special Olympics took care, hooked him up with a doctor, got him fitted for brand new glasses, athletic glasses, regular glasses. Daniel Fultz comes in. Now Daniel, not only does he catch the ball, he gets his driver's license. Changes his life. changes his mom's life, his brother's life, everybody in his
All
family.
because of Special Olympics.
Because now Daniel can help provide so much more for his own family because he missed a ball on a field.
Wow.
And somebody recognized that.
Wow.
You know, I get excited talking
Yeah,
about
it
it.
sort of gives you
That's
chills.
amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
So we do a lot of sponsorships and things in our community, and you have been one of our favorite and key partner sponsorships. We love the mission of Special Olympics. We love what you and Scott and your team, what they do. I know in particular, I know we've had these little fun facts like our grand opening, but I know the law enforcement torch run and the polar plunge, which I applaud our team members that jump in the icy cold thing. And
You've always had them.
that are adding up the donations there in the freezing. So
That's
go
right.
Cape Girardeau team.
Yes.
So you want to talk about those things?
Yeah, absolutely. So Special Olympics is law enforcement's charity of choice all across the state of Missouri and nationwide as well. We do the law enforcement torch run that starts way across town in May, and it leads up to our state summer games that's in Jeff City. That's the big track meet.
Police are running and
Police are
Anyway,
running. Yeah, they start at one end, and one end of the town, and they come all the way across to this end, and then we accumulate here. We have a big arch here and everything.
Yeah, we get to be the finish line.
Yeah, you're the
That's
finish
fun,
line. Yeah. And you provide drinks and snacks, and more than that, though, you provide socialization for our athletes, for your customers, for your staff, and then all the businesses around here. You guys take the lead and you contact all them and you tell them, and everybody comes out and is a part of it and creates
Excitement,
a
yeah.
good environment. Yes. Yeah.
So polar plunge.
We struggled. I'll be honest with you. We struggled with the calculations of the financing and everything. And years ago, there wasn't all the credit card usage. And years ago, we were out at Trail of Tears State Park, and there was not Wi-Fi or anything. So we knew we needed to have a financial partner to come and help us balance everything at the end of the day. And so reached out to Banterra Bank that, hey, we played basketball with them. I wonder now if they would come and use their
I hope they're better at this than they were at basketball.
expertise, right? And so you were.
Yeah.
And then you provided a team for us, and you changed our life then, just back and forth. And this is just setting an example for the community. You came in and you saved the day for us and helped us get that and get that moving and get everything resolved. And there's a certain amount of credibility that comes when a banking institution like yours backs Special Olympics. It lends credibility to us as well. People want to make a donation to
that,
us.
yeah.
People want to make a donation to us because they know there's somebody by our side that's helping us balance it all out and send it in, calculate it.
So can you explain your funding partnerships like you mentioned, like we have with you, but what else do you do to raise funds? Do you receive federal grant funding of any kind? How does the funding work for your organization?
The state of Missouri does receive those kinds of funds as well. But really, a lot of our money, what's important for people to know is it's raised locally and it stays locally. And Special Olympics wouldn't be what it is without the partnership of people like Banterra Bank, our law enforcement officers. Chick-fil-A is just now coming on board with this as well.
Great partner.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really important to have the support of everybody. And when you have the support of everybody, it makes everybody better. Mm-hmm. So, but definitely we're depending upon local businesses, local individuals to make everything function here for the 1,500 that we serve.
And, in addition to funding, you also need volunteerism, too, in so many ways, probably.
Special Olympics simplified the process for our athletes to become involved in the program. And there's very few of them that don't want to be involved. And so we are trying to keep up with the demand. And trying to get.
There's three of you, is that right?
Yes, yes.
There's only three.
Me, Scott, and Jen Rose, who also has a background in Parks and Recreation too. She worked for the city of Cape. Now she works for the city of Jackson. So we're pulling in more and more people from that area as well. Yeah. So it's not just two people. It is a community and a support mechanism of everything. But we're looking for coaches always. Whenever we bring in May, actually in February we do a big basketball competition. February 15th. We'll be looking for scorekeepers. We'll be looking for officials. We'll be looking for people to serve lunches.
Now, where is that competition?
multiple locations
Oh,
here
wow.
in Cape Girardeau. So yeah, we can have as many as 100 teams come in from St. Louis, from Cape Girardeau, from down south. They'll
That's
come
exciting.
here. Yeah, another great partner with us is Knights of Columbus too. The Knights of Columbus are heavily involved in Special Olympics, and I'm thinking about that because I'm thinking I need to call them because they help us provide lunches for our athletes too. But they provide some officiating and things like that too. So, but there's all kinds of competitions. We need coaches. We need people to help, sort medals. So you don't always have to be on the front line if you're not comfortable with the front line. But if you want to engage with our athletes, we have many, many opportunities to do that as well.
For someone who is interested in that, how do they get involved?
Contact our office, www. And I'm going to give you something that you guys can show later, but Williams at somo.org is the email address. You can email me directly and we'll get you.
There's a lot of helpful information on your website.
Yes,
It's a good
absolutely.
website,
Go to the
so-
website. Yep.
So SOMO.org.
Yep. Stands for Special Olympics Missouri.
So part of that on your website too, I saw the Unified Partners. You want to talk about that program a little bit, or?
The neat thing about Special Olympics is you may start at one level, and the whole goal is to get you moving in the next level. So you may start and you may compete just yourself in a basketball competition or whatever. When you get comfortable from that, you move into 3-on-3 competition. You get your 3 guys, teammates, you get really good, then you're going 5-on-5, then you're going full court. And the unified sports is the next process, the next progression to Special Olympics, and that's our ultimate end goal, is to get people without disabilities playing unified. Talk about inclusion, including with people that don't have disabilities. And it makes us better as humans, makes Special Olympics athletes better, gain more skills or whatever, and then they compete together. We have a couple teams that play softball in our softball league, have a volleyball team that plays regular Parks and Recreation, and they're a unified team. Started with Special Olympics, and now they're playing all the way up in normal competition settings. So
What are we missing, Penny? Is there anything we haven't covered that you'd like to get to?
there's all kinds of ways to help. There's all kinds of ways of becoming involved. And the important thing is that people take the first step, right? They reach out and help their neighbor. Special Olympics is a venue, an opportunity to do that. The neat thing is you'll never walk away, feeling worse than when you came here. The Special Olympics athletes just don't have that in their in their being. They're always about, they'll make you feel better. You think you're coming out, and they teach us so much, and it's so valuable to be a part of their lives, because you think about, why do I get upset? They teach us they teach us day in and day out of what's really important in life.
Yeah.
And everybody should be a part of it. There's just no other way to say.
I imagine you're listening to this podcast, or you might go to the website, and you might have some interest, but there's probably nothing like actually going to one of the events and watching it and seeing in person.
No,
different. So this basketball events that you're talking about, people can go to those and watch the competitions, right?
Absolutely.
And maybe that'd be the first good step.
It would. Yeah, the 15th, and contact our office, and I'll get you involved with that. The neat thing is our Special Olympics athletes don't always get to compete locally that much. You think about what your sports seasons are. A lot of times they'll go to St. Louis, they'll go to Springfield, they'll go someplace else. So I really like to show that hometown support, and I like it when people come out and cheer for us and watch us. And the neat thing is, too, Misha has realized the value of unified sports, and they're recognizing that now. So now some of our athletes, they can get letters on Letterman jackets. They can get, all those things. Where before that wasn't an opportunity for them. So Missouri is really progressing in the recognition of athletics as a whole, and they're incorporating Special Olympics and our athletes as well. So.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, Penny, thank you so much for sharing everything you did about Special Olympics. What a wonderful organization. And we're proud to be a partner with you as we move forward. So thank you for your time. Before we let you go, though, I'm not going to let you off the hook just yet.
You thought that was the end, but
yeah. Well, we like to get to know our guests.
Yeah, sure.
So we learned all about Special Olympics, but let's learn a little bit more about you, Penny. We ask all of our guests, what are you into right now? And that could be anything. That could be a movie, a TV show, book, podcast, hobby. What's something that our audience may not know about you, Penny?
I keep very busy. and with a lot of different things. My Parks and Recreation life, but I also have 2 kids. One just got married. One will be getting married soon. I got 2 dogs and a cat, and I just keep really busy in the community and engaging with people. That's really what I'm about. You're probably not going to find me reading a book someplace. Or, yeah. So I'm just out and about, always trying to share information about what's going on in my life. So
you don't sit down much.
I don't. No.
I have no kids and a puppy, and that wears me out. So I applaud you.
Yeah. But, something that's interesting about where we're at right now, though, too, is our office we're going to get a standalone location pretty soon. So there'll be more information to share on that. So there may be, in April, we'll be getting an office location to be announced somewhere in Cape Girardeau. So be on the lookout for that.
That's going to be great for your visibility and access and all of that.
Absolutely.
So that's exciting. Well, I want to thank you too for being here. I know that we recently donated with our 50th anniversary events and those kind of things, and we do things on, part of the Polar Plunge, but we want to make another $500 donation to you. So we'll do that, but please keep us posted constantly of the ways that we can get involved. We love working with you and your team, and really feel great about the mission. And you're just one of our key. When I look at overall for the bank, I mean, we do so many charities and whatever, but there's some that are particularly key to us, and Special Olympics is one of those. So thank you so much.
We've been great partners. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for your time today, Penny.
Okay, it's been my pleasure.
All right.
Listeners, don't forget to subscribe to Helping You Thrive on your favorite podcast platform, or watch the videos on Banterra's YouTube channel. You can support the podcast by sharing on social media or posting a review. Follow Banterra Bank social media for all the latest news and promotions of Banterra and our communities. Our podcast today was recorded at our Banterra branch, located in the Banterra Center in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and produced by Union Street Arts and Banterra's marketing department. You can find more information on Banterra at our website, banterra.bank. Thanks for joining us today. Banterra Bank, member FDIC.